Welcome to Leadership Unfiltered, the podcast where real leaders get real about what it takes to succeed in today's fast-paced corporate world. I'm Dr. Dayan Douse, founder and president of P.R.I.D.E Consulting, a human behavior and development company serving as an executive coach and facilitator, working with organizations to deliver practical ways to evolve teams, advance organizations, and transform cultures. I hold a PhD in organization and management with over 2 decades of leadership experience in Fortune 500 companies. And I'm best-selling co-author of the book, Nothing But Net. I'm joined by my co-host, Phillip Smith. Phillip is a seasoned technology executive with extensive experience leading large-scale engineering teams and driving digital transformation. Over his 25 years of leadership experience, he has held multiple roles from supervisor to vice president. His personal brand is coder by blood, architect by trade, and leader by choice. Every episode will deliver real-world strategies, unfiltered advice, and the tools you'll need to take your leadership to the next level. Let's get started.
Making it safe for people to take mental health days.
Ooh, yes.
And to say, we have sick time for a reason. Mm-hmm. We have PTO for a reason. It's there to be used. And so whether you are physically ill or mentally needing to not be at work, that's another good reason to not be at work.
Yes.
There seems to be, to your point, a taboo
yes.
around taking a mental health day or taking a mental health 3 hours.
Yeah, a break.
A break. And that taboo is there. And the reason why that taboo is there is because of leadership. Mm-hmm. It's important that people feel that safety in order to say, hey, I don't need to make up an excuse for not being here other than I'm mentally not here. Mm-hmm. I need to mentally be someplace else so that I can come back mentally prepared to engage and do the good work that I do. Yes. And you don't need anything more than that, assuming that all the other values are being upheld, integrity, trustworthiness, all that other good stuff is in place. Because if you don't have that, you need to deal with that issue rather than the mental well-being issue. We have to, as leaders, create that. And one of the things that I try to do is model the behavior. If I'm coming from a meeting where it's going to be a rough transition, I say that to say, hey, we can start, a couple minutes late, but I'm going to need a moment to transition from this meeting that I just left. Or if I realize that something has happened, so for example, if I'm in the middle of a meeting and I get a text message that something significant has happened, then I will say that, like, hey, look, I just got this information. It's taking me out of my work environment. I need to go deal with that in order for me to be fully present here.
Yes.
And so modeling that behavior is so important because your team will not do it. Mm-hmm. Or I have found that teams are more likely to do it if you're modeling the behavior. Other aspect of that, along with modeling, is talking about your experience and sharing your stories.
Yes.
And so I do that. I share my stories with my team around my struggles with mental health and my struggles with mental well-being and the choices that I've made that have turned out well and the choices that I've made that have turned out poorly. Mm-hmm. And when I have prioritized the deliverable and getting things done over my mental health, and what's the ramification? Going back to the website redesign, it wasn't going well, and I was delivering that message to the C-suite, and they were asking me all of these very pointed, very appropriate questions. Mm-hmm. But again, I was the manager at the time, aspiring to be a director, trying to demonstrate that I can do this, putting myself under a whole lot of pressure. And one of the stories that I tell my team is they were asking all these questions, they were all coming at me. I projected confidence. I projected that I had the situation under control. I projected that I was a strong leader. And after that meeting, I went behind the building and cried and just broke.
Yes.
But I did that by myself because it wasn't safe.
Wow.
And I don't want that. I don't want you all to leave a meeting with me and go behind by yourself and cry. That's not something I want for anybody. And so it's important that you share the stories, that you model that behavior so that you are able to create that environment where folks can share. That connection that you can build will absolutely show up in performance.
Yes.
If you allow people to be human, they start to do the superhuman.
Yeah.
That's an important part of it.
Yes. That's good. That's good. I love that. Superhuman.
Yeah.
That's good. The one thing I want to express to our listeners is, as the leader, we're not asking you to be the therapist.
That's a very good point.
Right?
Yes.
You don't need to psychoanalyze where people are. You don't even need to understand where people are. You just need to lead. And by that I mean be empathetic to what people might be going through, be supportive of what people might be going through, provide the resources that people need, whether that's company resources. HR has a lot of resources available in most companies to help assist employees who are going through whatever they might be dealing with. So make sure you point them in the right direction for those resources, but you don't need, that's not part of your job as a leader, is to become their therapist, but be empathetic and create and allow that space for them to share what they need to. Doesn't mean prying into their personal affairs, but share what they need to enough for you to make the decisions that you need to allow them the space and allow your team to continue to be productive all at once. You can do both. And so I just want to make sure that we are sharing with people that is not required of leadership that you be the therapist. It's just being empathetic of where people are and providing the support and resources they need.
Agreed. And I think I will strengthen that by saying becoming their therapist will change that relationship and that dynamic.
Yes.
And it's not healthy.
No.
In terms of, and so you definitely want to avoid that situation, because there are folks that are trained to do that. They went to school to do that, and they should be leveraged for that. Now you can also always listen.
Yes.
But to your point, you definitely don't want to pry because there are HIPAA violations that you could encounter.
Yes.
And so you want to stay on the right side of that. But if they choose to share, then you want to make sure that you're able to your point, be sympathetic, be empathetic, and be able to create a space for them where they're able to share should they choose to.
Yes.
I've been in a situation where someone who I was coaching and mentoring outside of my team joined my team. And that transition in the relationship in terms of how it needed to change, while not directly me becoming their therapist, but the dynamic of relationships need to be clear, right? And so you can never lose sight that you are the leader.
Right.
And that is you have to hold that. You have to hold that line. You have to hold that boundary to say, this is my role. Here's what we can do together, and here's what we can't.
Yes.
Here are conversations we can absolutely have, and here are conversations that we can't. And so that's an important point. So thank you for saying that.
Yes. You're welcome. The other thing that comes to mind is, you have a organization that prioritizes well-being when there are little things happening. And those little things being some of the things we mentioned. When someone is able to use PTO and state, I'm using PTO because for my well-being,
Yes.
for my mental health. They don't need to go any further than that. But when you get people that are honest about why they're taking that time, that's a sign that your organization is doing the right things and creating the space for people to do that. When you include well-being and mental health in your safety conversations, that's a step that your organization is prioritizing well-being. Make sure you are bringing in outside expertise.
That's an excellent point.
Again, human resources is an excellent place for all leaders to make sure they are connected to, so that you are bringing in these professionals that can help you with signs and signals and ways to create the environment that we're speaking of. Help leadership with how to move forward, and the employees with how to balance life and work, because those things are so interconnected more today than they ever have been. To be able to separate work and life is very hard. We work from home, many folks do. I always know that whatever happens in my personal life will impact, good or bad, will impact my work life and vice versa, right? How often do we take things that happen at work home? Again, good or bad, you celebrate things at work, you come in with a good mood and you share that good news with, your loved ones and that, and it's, a good thing. When bad things or stressful things happen at work, it's hard to disconnect those things. And so you want to use those professional resources to help you balance both work and life, because they are so interconnected.
I used to think that I could keep them separate. And that's absolutely something that therapy has brought really home, is that there's only one you. This belief that you can have your work you and your home you and these different versions of you. The human mind is a marvelous wonder. And it can do many, many things, but they're not free. And that compartmentalization, while doable, it's not free. The stress you put yourself under, that I know that I've lived through in terms of trying to keep these compartments separate, requires a tremendous amount of energy. I've come to terms that it's not worth it for me. Honoring that there's one Phillip. That Phillip goes to work. That Phillip comes home. That Phillip has friends and family and relationships and husband and responsibilities and accountabilities and all of those things. But there's really one Phillip. And the more that I've been able to be that Phillip in any situation, the healthier I feel, and the less energy I have to expend, and the less stress I am under. I know specifically as a Black man, that has been a journey. As a gay man, that has been a journey. And so that intersectionality of those different aspects of my diversity and how I show up in different contexts, and the masks that I have been dismantling. And some of those masks have been protective. Some of those masks have been through a lack of awareness that they were even there. But fundamentally, getting to a place where I don't have any masks, I am my authentic self, wherever I happen to be, has required a lot of work, but significantly less work than putting the mask on and pulling the mask off, to context switch and to code switch and to do all those different things. An example of that is ABE. My use of it and my journey through that, to integrate that into, because it's a part of who I am, it's a part of me, and integrating that into work life and integrating that into professionalism.
Share what ADE is.
African American Vernacular English. using constructions in English. Typically, be is one of the words, like will be something, or ain't, or those words that are considered by some who don't understand language that it gives an impression that you are less educated, because that's associated. Being less educated is an association with blackness in this country. And my own journey through that, because one, it's not true, and that's just not how language works, but my journey through my own self-acceptance in terms of who I am, who I come from, and on the gay side of that, it's the gay voice. Femininity that is associated with gayness, which is interesting. That's somehow seen as bad.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, so femininity is bad? And am I hearing this correctly?
Right.
But those journeys in terms of how do I honor who I am 100% of the time. Again, not that I have to share all that I am with everybody, but how do I honor me in whatever situation I happen to be in?
Yes.
Which is different. And which again has been a journey of mental well-being, because it's about being able to hold your center. Like, are you able to hold on to you as all this other things are happening around you? Are you able to hold on to who you are?
Yes.
Or are you contorting yourself to be what other people believe you could or should or would be? Or, and this is the other part, is it that you believe that you would or should or could be different? Getting to unpacking that.
Yes. Oh, wow.
And fundamentally, where I've landed is the answer is no. I know who I am now. I didn't know who I was then, but I didn't know that I didn't know who I was.
Right.
But getting to a place where, from a mental well-being, from holding my center, from being able to be vulnerable and have that not compromise my strength, and actually enhances it.
Yes.
To be able to share my stories, to be able to talk about my journey.
Yes.
I believe all those things make me a better leader.
Absolutely.
And I had some really good role models, and you've always been one of those.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we've had quite the journey together. I've learned a lot together from each other.
Yes.
You reminded me as you were sharing that of, and I go back to the leader not needing to know specifically what's going on. This could take us really easily into a DEI conversation. We've had a lot of civil unrest, and it's impacting people in many different ways. But one of the ways that you know your organization is, again, prioritizing well-being, is when they pause as an organization to recognize what people might be going through and allow the space for people to talk about that. And I'll tell you, it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable when people begin to share where they are, when external things are happening. So these aren't things that are happening in the company. So the company could very well ignore the outside world and say that has nothing to do with the products and services that we deliver, and so we're going to keep moving forward. When actually it does, when they're honest with themselves, because it's impacting their customers. And so it absolutely impacts. And in some cases, the employees are their customers. In our case, our employees were our customers as well. And so prioritizing well-being said you pause for a moment and allow that uncomfortable space to happen. And that's when you know that the company values well-being, truly values it. And while there were things we could do different or better, I really appreciated the courage that it took for those senior leaders to say, we're going to do this. And so I was proud of my company for doing that in time of these different scenarios that happened externally, the civil unrest that was happening and impacting people in different ways, and we took the time to pause for that. It was really important for me. And it gave me an opportunity to share with my team as a leader what those different situations meant to me and how it was impacting me. And it was hard. The situations that were going on was hard, and truly having an impact on my mental health and well-being. But it allowed me to kind of refocus. Just that little pause in the action, if you will, it gave me and my team time to express where we were, figure out what resources were available and what we were going to do next, and then refocus and kind of get back on track. So you know your company is prioritizing when they can take steps like that.
I appreciate you saying that, because it brings to mind a conversation I just had with my executive coach. Just had. When coming out of the election, I got to radical acceptance very quickly. I did what I could do to get the outcome that I desired. That is not the outcome that happened. And I got to radical acceptance very quickly, which is very different from the last time he was elected. I struggled greatly. I'm not struggling now. I was like, it is. My life remains relatively unchanged. Now, I have a lot of privileges. That the vast majority of Americans and the vast majority of Black Americans and the vast majority of LGBTQ Americans do not get to enjoy.
Speak on
it. And so I was having this conversation with my coach, and my coach was, talking about the current events, and I was like, oh, that's happening? I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, you're not concerned about it? I'm like, no, I'm not. I knew what he was going to do. We all knew what he was going to do. Why would I be concerned? You want it, you got it, Toyota. And so my coach checked me hard. And she said to me, you're in a very good place around the current events. I was like, yeah. She was like, how's your teeth?
Oof. Wow.
Just like, does your team enjoy the same privileges you do? I was like, they don't. They don't. She's like, are they in the same place about these current events that you are? And I had to honestly answer, I don't know. She's like, what do you think about that? And I said, I got to radical acceptance as a coping mechanism for myself. And once I got there, I kept moving. And I'm so grateful, so incredibly grateful that she checked me and said, you've got a responsibility here to make sure that the people that you lead, who are probably not in the same position that you're in, are good. And I was like, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Because I do have a responsibility. And while they are outside the company, all of these events that are happening are outside the company, I still have a responsibility. The company does lots of great things, which are fantastic and wonderful. But I can't stop there. Right? I, as the leader, have a responsibility. and I needed to honor that, and I wasn't. And it was a gut check to say, how do I make sure that I'm taking into account the things that are happening outside the company that are impacting the people that are coming over?
Yes. Ooh, that's good. That's a good coach.
Yes.
That can bring some light and insight, check you, to make you rethink where you are. And not only did you have that responsibility to your team, but you also have family, peers,
Yes.
that needed that level of support. And your leadership, and that's actually a good point as well, is your leadership isn't 9 to 5.
No.
Your leadership isn't inside those 4 walls that the company is in. If you're a leader, you lead at home, you lead in the community, you lead at work. And so that probably opened up some other spaces for you to lead and checking on people and where they were as well. So.
Yeah, it's been this journey of mental well-being. I mean, it touches so many different things. It touches DEI, it touches belonging,
Yes.
it touches safety, it really touches team cohesion, and to your point, it touches personal lives, it touches religion, it touches belief systems, it touches just about every part of you, because you have one mind. It's hard for that mind to be healthy in certain situations and not healthy in others. Those things seem to pop up. And I think my biggest learning on my journey of mental well-being has been just that, is that the things that plagued me in all areas, the things that prohibited me from growing and transitioning into the career that I had, were the same things that were triggering me, that were prohibiting me from having a successful marriage, that were prohibiting me from having successful relationships with friends and family, and preventing me from achieving the other goals and the other things that are outside of it that I wanted to achieve. And there's a lot, like I've always said, and I will continue to say, the best gift you can give yourself is therapy. And that doesn't necessarily mean from a therapist, but someone who is trained. I know like a lot of clergy are trained in delivering those types of services, and so get it wherever you can.
Yes.
I think there's just a tremendous amount of value there.
Excellent.
Today we talked about really the mind, and how do we make sure that we are keeping that part of us healthy, because as leaders, our mental well-being impacts those around us. About ways that we can do that in terms of providing resources to our teams and being aware of how we show up. We've talked about how we know we have it, how the teams that we lead will behave when we are putting not only their mental well-being, but also our mental well-being, and making that a priority. I guess I'll close as I began. The best gift you can give yourself is therapy. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Leadership Unfiltered. We hope you have found value in our conversation and are ready to take action in your leadership journey. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And don't forget to connect with us on social media for more leadership insights and resources. Until next time, keep leading with purpose.